What is your profession? This is Sparta!
What is going on, everybody? We're back at it with another stream, another live, another kick-ass time. So, how's everybody been? Hope everybody's doing well. Hope we're enjoying this hot weather, hot wave we're getting in, because it's kicking my ass in the kitchen. I'm not gonna lie about that. So, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Do me two favors, actually. Let's do three. Actually, make it four. So hit a 1 if you can hear me in the chat. If it's nice and clear, nice and loud, please let me know you can hear me. That'd be appreciated. So the other thing, if it's your first time coming through, thank you. And if it's your first time, great. So this is your opportunity to hit the like and share and subscribe. And if you're coming back as my repeaters, please also hit the like, share, and subscribe. So let's get into it. So, as always, we were talking about a specific topic tonight. Tonight's topic, we are talking about respect. Respect, it could be broken down in different ways. The question is to everybody who's watching this right now. What does respect mean to you? Excuse me. Ooh. Well, that came up. So, what does respect... I'm going to try this again. What does respect mean to you? Respect could be a lot of things. It's something that means a specific thing for you. So, if it is something special for you, make sure you make it known. That is the most important thing I can say right now. Oops. Okay, that's weird, but okay. Back to it. So, you need to get the respect, but also getting it, you need to show it. Give and take is respect thing, in my opinion. So this respect thing has been going up and down for a very, very long time. So let's get into it a little bit. So let me get my notes up here really fast. Nope. Where are they? Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is listen and act. Pay attention when others are speaking. Avoid interruption and making them feel inferior or small. Show them the individual body language as attitude, eye contact, and so on. And that is very important. People don't realize how important that is. because that could be a make it or break it kind of thing. Because you don't, if you have the eye contact with somebody when you're talking, you're like, okay, yeah, don't cut them off. Just listen to them. It makes a big thing. I know on these panels we all cut each other off, and it is rude. It is the ethic behind it too. Bass said it a couple weeks ago. The ethic is a big thing on this stuff, and nobody listens to this stuff, and that is the problem. So why are we just sitting back and not doing anything about it? My question is, we need to start doing something about it and changing the things around. So that is one of my first. So embracing, trying to understand the shape and the feeling of others. That's a tricky one because something that might offend you might not offend somebody else. Something that offend them could offend you. That is a really weird one to me because it has a couple things in play here. One, where you're raised. If you're raised in, say, a different country, so what we say here in America offensible might not be in another country. So, like saying, good example. A lot of Greeks hate beers like this. I always get comments, when you're gonna shave, when you're gonna be a man, yada yada. I don't take it offensive because I know how they are. But somebody who's not know the culture might take that offense. I mean, I know that's a really bad example, but that is a decent example. Language. Say please and thank you for and excuse me. Avoid using hurtful and offensive language. Please and thank you. We all know about that. It's respectful. It's terms and everything. But I kind of want to talk about the language for a minute here. Okay, so you guys been knowing me for a while now, and you guys know I have a goddamn mouth of a sailor. I'm not gonna hide it. I know I do, and I'm okay with that. But somebody else may not be okay with that. I just realized my view is all screwed up. Let's fix that for a minute here. There we go. That's a lot better. I feel a little bigger. So the language, saying fuck, shit, numbnuts, little dickless, whatever, to me are just words. Even saying to somebody fuck you are words. They're not gonna hurt me, they're not gonna offend me, they're not anything. But somebody else can be very offended with those words. Calling like somebody a bitch, for example, could be very offensive. And I do understand why. And it's a weird one, in my opinion, because we use these words every single day. What's changing now and then? That part I don't understand. I never understand. We say fuck you all the time, but we never, think about it. I don't know how many times I talk to my friends. To me, it doesn't bother me. I don't get offended. None of this shit. It's one of those things. Whatever, dude. I don't care. And I never will and never have. This is how I always been. And that's my personal opinion, of course. And there are a lot of people's opinions that will get offended. Holy cow. Look who stopped by. Well, hello. And welcome. Glad to see you. You know what? I need to do something. I forgot. I apologize, guys. I need to drop the link. Let me get the link going here really fast, guys. Hang on 1 second. There you go. Anybody want to join us? Here's the link. Jump on through. The panel is always open. I'm ready for a good conversation for anybody. So, I was just saying, let me highlight this for you guys. Know it's in here. Here we go. So again, anybody who want to join us, please welcome. Is open. So only thing I ask, be respectful. Don't cut other people off. It's the reason why I'm going over this today because it's a big thing. Acknowledge others. Greet people with warmth, acknowledge presence, using their names in conversation. Okay, here I want to talk about the. Okay, so yes, we greet them obviously. And if I say something, hey John, how are you, Jeff? All that stuff weird is human nature. We should know this by now. But here's one that people don't understand, I think, and it's a big one with me. Names. Okay. There's a reason I say that. Hang on 1 second. Okay. Before you guys like, Pete, really? We know how to address people's names. But hang on. Before you jump down my throat, there's a reason I say it. Some people may like using their names, yes. But some people might like using their nicknames. In my case, I have a bunch of nicknames, and I have two real names. Panayotis is my real name. Peter, everybody calls me Peter. Okay, yeah. It's okay. But I prefer Panayotis. I always have, I always will. It's just one of those things that I prefer. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to prefer one or the other. But I do understand nobody can use it. But I also know, in the same token, it's something I have to accept, unfortunately. Now, when people use my real name, am I happy? Absolutely. I'm jumping 10 feet in the air. Holy shit, he's trying. Holy shit, they are trying. It means the world to me when I hear people use Panayotis. Now, when people call me Spartan or grooming or even Greeky, I'm cool with that too. But in reality, Panayotis is the name I prefer. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just one of those things. Now, when it comes down to being around every day with people, it's hard for me to say, hey, I need you to say that. Because I know my name is not that easy to say. I'm not stupid. I know for the fact. My name is very, very hard to pronounce. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it. So, I gotta accept it, unfortunately. Let's get to the next one now. Here we go. Okay, so... Okay, open-minded to other background, cultures, and views. Avoid judgment and based on perjuring. So here's the reason why I think I'm a perfect person to talk about this because a lot of you guys know I'm one of the repeaters of BMU's show. I always go back every week after week, as long as my schedule allows it, of course. Me and Paul have our own show on this channel and BMU's. There's a reason why I keep going back there, because we respect each other. We show each other what we need. But I also understand there's a lot of things we might talk about on their channels, even on mine, that might be different. Different, like, culture. I'm all about learning about different cultures. I will always will. I have never had a problem learning about other cultures. Is something I always will respect about that. And that's the thing that makes me different versus anybody else. I respect. It doesn't mean I have to agree with everything, but I can respect it and understand it. To me, that's a big thing. Respecting and understanding is a huge thing. And it's time for me to speak about. So, I'm going to use Paul for example. Obviously, me and Paul are from two different leagues. But I do understand him. I respect him. But we have things in common. We're Star Wars fans and stuff like that. And it's always be like that. Hit the wrong way back. I'm sorry. Let's try this again. What the heck is going on here? I think my tablet here is not showing everything. Let me see if I can fix that really fast. So it's just pretty much taking message from the heat, saying facts. I don't understand why my thing's not showing it. Let me try to fix that in the background really fast. But my point is trying to get to you guys was... What the heck? Oh, we got Marcus here too. Okay, now he's working for some reason. This is weird. Huh. Hmm. Couldn't figure out why he's doing that. Let's try this again. He's still doing that. Why is he doing that? Gotta figure why he's doing that. Anyway, back to what we're saying. So we can be different, but we have to respect each other. I don't care if you're green, orange, blue, orange, pink, whatever you are. And I have argued with somebody once. I was on a different panel. He's telling me it makes a huge difference. I don't think so. We don't. Not at this point in our life, in our generation. We want to make it a big deal for no reason. Why are we making it such a big deal? You know, my beer was crazy today. But the point he's trying to get to is we have to break those walls down. Finally. After how many years are we going to keep talking about the same shit? Seriously. We're talking about the same shit day in, day out. It's time to end that. We're so past that right now. We have beat the death out of that shit. And we never find a ground. How about we finally find a playing field, all of us, to say, you know what, enough is enough. It's time to embrace it. Embrace each other. Care about each other. I'm going to use, actually, it's funny I said that because Bracy Grace is another one I want to recommend her because she even says it. Let's break down the walls. Why are we keep going back and forth? Why? And I will never understand that to this day. I will never understand that. Let's get to the next one. Honest. Oh, I love that one. Communication is open and honest with being truthful, kindly, and etc. Avoid major disappointment. So here's the thing, guys. I'm very blunt. Everybody knows that about me. I always have been blunt. I always will be blunt. I'm not going to change that about me. And that's part of being honest with me. But I know I'm not that type of person that I'm the only one. It's a few other people are like that too. But it's not a lot of them like that, unfortunately. And as much as I want to sit here and tell you guys, yeah, it is true. But it's not a lot of me like that. If that makes sense. That's a hard one for me to even try to break down the wall with that. Because it's one of those weird ones that I always ask questions about. If that makes sense. And that's how I will continue always asking that question. Why can't we just break the wall down? We never have. I think it's time to break that wall down. It's only time. It needs to be broken. That's all I have to say on that one. So, let me ask you guys a question really fast before I move on. Why haven't we not broken that wall down? That's the only question I got. So, let's get somebody else in here and get a different opinion. Trey, my man, what's going on?
What's up, my brother Groomy? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you nice and clear. So,
Okay.
we're talking about respect today, my man. Breaking those walls down between all different cultures. You know I got a lot to say on this one. I want your opinion on it. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, so what was it? What was it? Was there a specific question?
No, I'm just opening I'm starting my open dialogue, but go ahead. You can go for it.
I mean, I think respect is big across all cultures, regardless,
Mm-hmm.
you have to respect everybody when you apply for a job and you go into a new company. You have to respect all employees, regardless of race, regardless of size, color, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to another person, I just think that that's always been important. You also have to respect yourself. One of the biggest things, for me is always having respect for myself. When I was working within the schools and social services, I always took pride in how I presented myself to students, to families. I wanted them to see me as a businessman. So I always took pride in how I wore my clothes, made sure they was all nicely creased and ironed and starched. And, I love wearing shirts and ties. And this always been me. As the kids used to say, my church shoes. I probably have more shoes than most women. I probably got about 100 pair of shoes
Jesus Christ.
altogether. About 60 pair of dress shoes, uh, different styles, colors. Not no crazy colors like no bright orange or red, nothing like that. But I've just always been into those styles, and I think respect is big. And I love respecting elders. People my age, y'all might get whatever, but elders, people 5, 10 years older than me, I'm just so used to saying yes, sir, yes, ma'am. When I go into establishments, I love good service, so I'm always, nice to the people who are providing the service. It's just always been me. It was big for my father. He used to teach me that. He always say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. But he didn't require, my parents didn't require us to say yes, sir, yes, ma'am to them. They just wanted us to do it as we got out and started venturing into our own lives. So it's always worked.
See, my parents never made me say yes sir, no sir. But I had a lot of respect. Like for the older people, I know this is gonna sound a little strange. I know this is more a gray area topic, but I want to bring it up really fast. I was posed on here to hear this. As a younger man, I'm not talking about my age. I'm talking about like kid age, like 12 and down, and maybe in teenagers a little bit. It's respectful to kiss the elders, like your grandfather or grandparents' hand. And people hear that and like, really? That's weird. It's not weird. It's different respect, different cultures, and that's one thing. It's different, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So, yes sir, no sir. I see that a lot with men or women that came from the service. So my question is going to follow up with your father or your parents. Were they in the service at all?
My father was in the service. My grandfather, he was a pastor, but my father never went to church. so, so and it's just who I was. My mother was a very, very nice lady. She took pride in helping people and, just volunteering. So I've always had a knack for just wanting to help people.
Mm-hmm.
It's got me to a great place in my life. So I have no problems with it.
And that's one of those things. Sean, what's going on, my man?
What's going on? How are you? How
Good,
are
good,
you
good.
tonight?
What's up, my man?
We're having a great conversation and welcome, and we're happy to have you because I know respect is a big thing in your book.
Absolutely. Um, Respect definitely is a significant thing. I think in most people, it should be in most people's lives, and what it looks like can differ, but respect is definitely something that's necessary.
I agree. We all need it in our lives. Like it has to be the primary thing to learn as you're growing up. And I think that's where people fall off a little crookedness, meaning they're doing some stupid shit or they haven't. Um, you need to show that respect and so on. So by saying that, what are you thinking?
I think that you're right, and how that looks, like I said, can differ. uh, Really, you have to first understand what respect is to you in order to be able to embrace and receive it. Because if you're not able to identify what's respectful in your world or in your, then it's hard for somebody to be able to supply it to you. What one
See,
person might
here's the
feel
funny
is
thing.
respect. What's that?
Yeah, go finish what you're gonna say.
No, I was just saying what one person might feel is respectful, another person might not see it as such, and so therefore it's still not accomplished, even though it's intended to be.
Hmm. So one thing I want to bring up, let's say those, how can I put this? The people on the street we always talk about. They're on the street, they're doing bad things, selling drugs, whatever. If you show them a little respect and get them off the street and show them there's a better way, a different way, I think they will be better people in our society. You agree or disagree?
It depends on the person. I disagree
Of course.
because a lot of them aren't really looking or don't really move off of respect. They often move off of fear. And there's a fine line between the two. They think of it as respect, or they say you got to respect me, but really, they're utilizing intimidating ways to be able to achieve said respect, and that's not always respect. That's sometimes fear, especially when you're talking about those guys.
Mm-hmm. Mm. I kind of agree or disagree because some people do want, just want the respect to show him a different direction, and some just need there's a redirection, if that makes sense. So it depends on the person, like you said too. So it can go either way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but to your point, I think that if a person does respect you, then the ability for you to have some influence definitely you have a better chance of doing so.
Totally agree. I'm not disagreeing on a bit. It's the respect. That's where I'm going down with this because if you show them the respect, I think you can get through them easier versus trying to argue like, yo, what the fuck? Are you stupid? I'm using that as an example. Like, hey, buddy, you know what? Except doing this, how about you find you a better way of doing something? Like they say, you can only bring the horse to the water, but it's up to the horse to drink the water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and to your point, in order for someone to think that you can give them a better way, they somewhat have to respect you or definitively have to respect you. Otherwise, they're going to think that their way is better. And they're not really going to pay attention to the way that you're suggesting, even if it's beneficial to them.
I think this is a two-way, a back and forth thing because I think we see it two different ways. Because I think you can get people off the street with respect and show them a different way. That's my personal opinion.
And I can understand that, and I don't dispute that. That is one way, absolutely. But sometimes they might not be respecting you. They might respect what you do. They might respect what you have. They might respect, you know, that's why I said respect is really subjective to the person who's receiving it. And you got to identify what a person respects because a lot of people feel like mannerisms is respectful. For example, when we were kids, uh, don't talk back. That's what they considered respect. But as you get older, you can consider that limiting their abilities to express themselves. So, it really depends on how you define respect in order to achieve said change, as you were just describing. So, yeah, that is one way. And I think if they do take your advice, they respect you. But it's not that because they respect you that they're going to take advice, is I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah, but sometimes if the way you respect and talk to them, you might have to show them too at the same time.
I understand that. Like I said, I ain't disputing it. It's definitely a
Oh, I know.
method. I just think that there's more than one method. There's more than one
Agree.
way to skin a cat, and there's more than one
2 hours.
definition of respect. More importantly, like I don't get offended when people sometimes raise their voice. Like I was using the kids for example. Uh, my ex, when we were raising our kids, uh, she didn't want the kids to ever raise their voice. And I was like, nah, let them talk however they want to. She didn't want them to use any profane language, and she felt like that was disrespectful. And I can understand that perspective, but in me allowing them to be able to express themselves properly, they wound up respecting me in a different way then they respect others, because I did allow them to go ahead and, let off their steam, so to speak, in whatever ways they felt comfortable, because I was like, yo, I want to hear you. I don't care how you say it. Go ahead and say it. I want to hear what you got to say. And when they said it, I was able to address better because they weren't afraid to say it. And what they were saying sometimes was very important to how they felt. And how they felt was important to getting a resolution where we might have had some friction.
All right, totally agree. So before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's get Paul. Let's get you in here, brother. How are you, and what's going on?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're
Yes,
loud and
sir.
clear.
Awesome,
Yours.
awesome. Yeah, what's going on? I'm just coming in midstream.
Okay, so
What's the
we're
question on the
talking.
floor?
Yeah, we're talking about respect today, and me, Sean, we're not disagreeing, but we're having a back and forth. I feel like if you show people respect, and let's say people on the street, for example, like we always say, we can get them off the street and show them a better way. So he's not disagreeing, but there are 100 different ways to do it too. So I just want to hear your opinion about respect in general.
Well, I think overall, I think there's levels, and I think that's where um, some of the confusion is. I think there's a base level of respect that's just given. Again, I come from a Christian background, so I'm taught to respect everyone, whether it be the CEO of the company or the janitor who's cleaning up in the office. Everyone is entitled to a certain level of respect because they're human beings and made in the image of God. So there's going to be levels to that. But as you know, as a person shows themselves, as they do things, I think levels of respect can be built, trust can be built, but I think it has to start at a floor. So again, how I treat my neighbor as I treat myself, that matters to me. Whereas you have some people who are of the mindset, well, you haven't done anything, so you haven't earned my respect. Again, that doesn't mean that I give you access to my money or access to just let you do what you want. Again, that kind of trust needs to be earned over time. But at a certain level, that's why, again, I may greet you with just your surname, Mr. So-and-so or Miss so-and-so, or ask them, how would you want me to, what would you like to make sure to call you? And so I think it starts there, and I think it can build, you can grow it, but I think there has to be a floor. And what I'm seeing lately is that there is no floor, that no one is respected. I mean, just because you're older doesn't necessarily mean that you are entitled to more respect, or that your voice isn't valuable because you're older, or my voice isn't valuable because you're older. But I think you are owed something, at least the opportunity. Now, again, respect can also be lost. So again, if you treat me disrespectfully or act in ways that are off-putting, you can lose respect as well. But I think we need to define the floor, and I think that floor. If I came in earlier, I think Sean was talking about, with kids at a certain level. I think that's something that you can earn over time. So I may raise my kids not to raise their voices when they're younger, but as they are excelling in that, as they build on that, you earn capital, you earn equity to a point to say, okay, now I do want to hear you. Now, when they were teenagers, yeah, I wanted all the smoke. Come at me as honest as you can. Let's have a real conversation. Now my kids are adults, and it is all on. Like, we talk, we hash out, I treat them as, I don't even, a lot of times I don't even consider myself a father anymore. I'm more like a mentor / coach now. We can have this back and forth dialogue. And so I respect, their views. I see what you're saying there, but it's not do as I say because I'm your father. I think sometimes even the adults have a problem, especially parents have problems giving the proper respect to their children when the children get of certain age. Like, especially in the Black community, we're like, look, I'm your dad. I don't care if you 60 years old, I'm still your daddy. I mean, I think, and I've always lately I've always hashed out that I think we don't raise adults, we raise children, and that's a problem. I think we need to be raising our successors to be better than us in every aspect. So if I raise my kids, and I'm still gonna be your daddy no matter what, then I still have babies. In the natural kingdom, in the animal kingdom, the young ones take over at some point. You're a young lion, you're gonna run the father line, or even if it's your father and mother, you gonna let them know at some point I'm taking over, or you're gonna have to move. One is gonna have to move, or you're gonna have to be under my authority at some point. But that's how you. But I think that's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to be reading the success of the leader, and I don't think we're doing that enough. So again, but that also comes from a lack of respect given. So I think, regardless of your age, there's a certain level of respect that must be first given, with the opportunity to have that respect grow over time and trust to grow over time, to which now that person can start operating in certain ways. So yeah, I may not want my kid saying anything they want at 8 years old, but by 14, 15, yeah, I'm going to start giving you more. As you shown me respect, I'm going to give you more opportunities for you to express yourself in ways that are that you need to. But yeah, so I think there's levels. It can be earned, it can be lost. You have to build on that, but I think you have to start somewhere, and that starts for me with the respect of everyone and around you.
And I think you have a really good point there, because it's something you build over time. People think you walk through a door and you need to give them respect off the bat. I disagree with that. You need to earn that. It takes time, a lot of time. So, like, here's one of my questions I was going to ask you guys: how does treating others with respect means to you personally? I want to take that first.
What was
Let's go
that?
What is
all at once,
respect?
guys.
I'm saying rephrase the question.
Sure. Let me get my question back up here. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. What does treating others with respect means to you in a personal level?
Uh, he just mentioned that you give respect in the manner that you want to receive. You treat thy neighbor biblically is how it's addressed
Mm-hmm.
and how it's relayed. And I agree with that principle and that concept. Uh, Now, here's where the complication sometimes lies, is the fact that what I call respect, or what I respect rather, might not be what they respect. For example, I tell people who I work with, I don't respect your title. I respect you as a person. I respect you as, but your title doesn't mean anything to me. Just because you're my supervisor, or you're rich, or you have accolades, I don't respect those things. And a lot of people kind of sometimes expect you to respect that. And I'm like, no, I respect you as a person. I even told my mother, for example, I said, Ma, I don't respect titles. I don't respect you because you're my mother. I respect you because you're a beautiful woman. I respect you because you are my mother, because quite frankly, there are a lot of mothers who don't deserve who haven't earned respect. They
Why?
haven't, because they haven't taken on the responsibility as a mother. I'm not talking about somebody who has. I'm talking about, for example, somebody who might have abandoned their duty, who might have neglected their child, who might have neglected their responsibility. So when they neglect their responsibility, yes, they are your mother or father. It's not gender specific, but is that title, because they're your mother or father, does it warrant that you respect uh, what they are doing for you, or how they treat you? I don't really agree with the notion that just because you have that title, that you have earned that respect, or that you deserve that respect. Now, if you're somebody who is who is doing the duties, you know how they sometimes separate father um, uh, uh, from dad. I don't remember the wording, but you know how sometimes they separate it, and fathers is pretty commonplace, where they say, "You're my dad, but you're not my father," or vice versa. I can't remember the
All
exact
that's
terminology.
learned behavior. That's learned behavior on the kid from someone else, another. those things, because a child, if allowed to just build a natural relationship with the father, a black boy would be the strongest thing running around the United States, building and doing everything. But that's learned behavior from
I
the
agree.
primary caregiver.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and so is the behavior of respect people just because of their title. That's a learned behavior, and it's a
I
conditioned
mean, that's
behavior.
on the employment. That's on the if that would only
Family members as
pertain
well.
to employment.
Well, no,
Like you
family
said.
members as well. You have a lot
I
of
mean, but
family
family
members.
members, they must respect you automatically. Family members, if they don't respect you, you don't need. I mean, this. I take respect
That
as a little different.
I guess what you're saying, you're lending to the point that I'm making, which is just because you're a family member don't mean that you're warranted or that you get that respect. That's a condition. That's a learned behavior. That's something that we've learned and we've been taught, and culturally, we've been taught that religiously, we've been taught that in a lot of different
But,
ways.
but I don't think for the most part, black men have been taught. We've been come to realize it. Like, damn, everybody shits on us, even our women. And black men, it's been black men for the last 35, 40 years who really never had a chance to just build a relationship with their sons and daughters. They 5 and 10 blocks away. For the brothers that are, remember, is more than a majority of brothers who wasn't even having children and single. That's been going on for 25, 30 years, most of our adult life. So the fact that men, what I'm trying to say, if boys were given the permission by the mothers, because the mother controls all that, the mother and the state and the government, that's where they rip off the black man from the head. So it's just a crazy dynamic. But if brothers, especially these young brothers, understand, you respect yourself first, because that's how you get blessings. You demand respect from others by watching their behavior towards you. If they don't come with a barter system, something that's going to enhance your life, then you got to sort of separate from that early and move accordingly. Continue to learn and build. And as far as respect for the world too, you got to respect the world. Shit, you got to respect a fucking dog, a cat, a bird, all that shit. Clean up in your yard. It's a whole lot of simple stuff that when you start applying it to yourself, that you'll walk in your Jesus energy and you'll be straight connected to God. Don't be
I
afraid. That can happen. So
I agree. I agree with what you're
shout out
saying.
to my mama. My mama loved me. She cooked for me. She showed me how to wash clothes. She told me to stop crying over girls. Shout out to my fucking daddy. He worked every fucking day. My daddy was an alcoholic. This motherfucker be drunk in the club. I used to see him on Friday, Saturday. I was 15, 16 years old. I ain't never tell my mama. Man, you just got to live life, young people. You 24, 25. Stop listening to us about our bad stories. And if you do, well, you listen, but then you go do a reverse of it. Because everybody can tell you a bad story about what happened. But as long as you continue to work as a young, especially a young adult, young woman, you should be in great shape. You should just walk and run and cook for yourself. Young brothers, just work out. Save your little money. Then when you want to do something big, just splurge. Just show up somewhere like, yeah, this is me. You ain't got to tell nobody. They can get on YouTube and talk about what you did. Go live life, man. And respect others. Respect other cultures. Learn some of those other cultures. It's all about surviving. So respect to me, man, it goes all the way to my core. I respected people just because. And I demand respect from other peoples. Meaning that we human. We human. No man is greater than me. Or them I no greater than any other man or woman. We equal. But if you can't add, then I gotta, I don't subtract. So I just gotta move from it and divide. I like to add, multiply, and divide. But it's just me, man. It's only one of me, man. I fit all subscriptions that we
You,
talked about. Like,
you know what's interesting about what you're saying is I agree. Now, let me clarify something. when I say I don't respect my mother's title, I don't respect her. I respect my mother, not because she gave birth to me, because the wonderful woman of who she is. And that's what I tried to help her understand, that, because she was demanding, oh, you need to respect me because I'm your mother. I said, no, I respect you because you're a wonderful person. I don't respect you because you're my mother. You gave birth to me, and that makes you my mother. But everything you did for me is what makes me respect you.
Uh, just, just, I guess the analogy that you use with your mama, man, just, I don't know, man. No, it's all
Yeah,
good,
Did
man.
I
I'm,
hit a
I'm
nerve for
with
you?
you. I believe you. I'm with you 100% though, for real.
well, the
Mama's
reason
mama.
why I use it is because I know it's a sensitive issue, because we've been conditioned that way. We've been
Uh,
conditioned to have that title mean.
no, so you and your mom been conditioned to have that type of understanding about it. That's all I'm
Not at all.
saying.
Not at all.
Okay.
We haven't had, no. That's me who had that understanding. She didn't
Oh,
understand.
okay, okay.
She doesn't understand it probably to this day. I shared it with her. She didn't entirely agree. I didn't say that. I just shared with her what
So,
I felt.
so
I
how
didn't
long you
share
done
with
had? How long have you had this feeling since you was a kid or as an adult?
no, as an adult. It was
Oh,
as
okay. Well,
yeah.
see
It
now
wasn't.
you're going too far into semantics. Once
Yeah, yeah.
mama gets you to adult, mama's mama. She's the queen of everything, and daddy's daddy. You can't
Well,
nobody even come through that.
well. Again, like I said, I
Respect to the
understand.
mamas.
I understand that, but I just don't. Like I said, I feel that, or I think that often we subject ourselves to a lot of conditioned ways that don't help us grow. And what I wanted her to do is help me grow when I was having this conversation. And the reason why I came up that way is because I shared with her, I want to talk to you from a man to a woman, not specifically from a son to a mother, because
Oh,
I
well,
need to have a respectful conversation with you without us getting into this tug of war, or to where you think that I'm offending you simply because I'm asking you things that are not traditional.
well, brother, I think it's it's a little bit more deeper between you and your mom. But listen, man, I'm sure you had a great life, man. You talk about your great job experience and the position you are in now, man. Hey, she kept you safe. She might not along with all your crazy ideas like we have as teenagers, but shit, look at you now, man. And shout out to the mamas, man. Shit. Shout out to the mamas that cook Sunday dinner. Where y'all at? Respect. Don't buy box food for your babies. Teach them motherfuckers how to read and write and multiply. Y'all don't want to give them to the fathers. That's respect. You want the ultimate respect, ladies? Give these young boys to their fathers when they 7, 8 years old. Brothers, just take them and show them how to be a man. Even if you don't know how, you're gonna learn through him. I'm
And,
telling you.
and, and I'm glad you said that, because part of the reason of everything that I just said is because my mother made a decision um, in my teenage life to allow my brother and I to go to our father,
Man,
which
that's a
was a decision. Yeah, it was a decision against her girlfriends and friends. She didn't know whether it was a good decision, because a lot of people made her feel like it was a bad decision, because my father was distant from us up until that point.
but see, brother, listen, that's simple. And look, I ain't in your business, but listen, before that, none of that really mattered. The fact that she understood that you needed a father and you talk about how you came out of that, shout out to both your mama and daddy. Because you don't know, I'm sure whatever story you got on why he was distant, what I'm saying, unless he just said, fuck them kids, I'm moving. But then you came back to him, look at you. Man, you're doing good, man. Shout
Agree.
out to mama.
That's why I'm stating the position and being clear on some of the things I'm saying, so it's not misunderstood, because it has nothing to do with amount of respect that I have for my mother, because I have a great deal of respect for what she is, who she is, and what she has. But I also understand that some of the separation and some of the things that she dealt with in her relationship with men was often it often forged a wedge in between the ability of her to be able to, as she says now, appreciate the men that she raised,
Oh,
because she didn't really have she had a lot of hurt and pain. She was disappointed by a lot of men, including my dad and others, and that
okay.
kind of
It broke her heart. That shit
yeah, it
broke her
broke her
heart.
heart. And she didn't realize that it traumatized her, so to speak, up until I became an adult and I was bringing it to her attention. And these are some of the conversations that I'm referring to, where I was bringing it to her attention, and I didn't want to offend her, but I was trying to be as honest. But those sometimes it felt like an attack to her, simply
Yeah,
because
I can
she
understand that.
had a distant relationship with men. And so I had to explain it to her that no. And it took a therapist, a female therapist, to actually help her embrace it, because what she said is that because of the female therapist told her, because of the trauma that you had dealt with men in your life, you can't even, when you hear the tone of your son speaking, because now they're men, it automatically triggers you, and you start getting defensive, even though these are the two people, or this is a person who actually came out of you and actually loves you probably more than any man ever. But because of the conditions that you had faced, and that tone is triggering to you, is what the therapist told her, which was a friend of mine, and
Brother,
she was able to achieve that.
brother, do you look like your father?
According to her, absolutely. According to many, yes. And
Listen,
yeah,
okay. So based off what you saying yes, right? Every time she saw you and you talked, you reminded her of him. And then you was coming to her. Let me ask you this. Since after your father, did she really have a stable relationship? She remarry or anything?
not remarried, but she did have a significant relationship. Yes.
Yeah, a couple of the dudes that she was like, man, you just here till I get rid of you. She was running that, but see that was a part of her life that was hard. It was troubling because she had to make a great decision to save her children or listen to those around her who probably had less than her and not wanting her to be better. She probably that's some trauma, and the fact that you waited to an adult to come to her. See, if you was a teenager, you should have been talking to her. Y'all have been cool. You'd be like, "Oh yeah, thank you, mama. I appreciate you, because you good. You had a great life. You had your daddy when you was what age were you when y'all went to your father's house?
Both respectively 13.
Oh man, right there, man. Your balls are separated from your body, man. Y'all was young man. What you talking about? What are
No,
you talking about? Respect,
what I,
baby.
what,
Shout out
what,
to father.
what
Shout
I'm
out to mama.
yeah, what I'm saying is, I'm saying that that's what I respect about her. It's not the fact, because I know other women who have children that did not do that, and they are mothers.
Brother, is your mother still with us?
Absolutely. This is why I even have even more of these
Look,
why I'm able to have these conversations right now with you
when the
guys.
next time you can go see her?
I will see her next week.
But look, when you go see her next weekend, when before you say anything, you just put your stuff down and you just go over and hug her and just say thank you, mama. She gonna start crying in your arms, so be prepared. Have some tissue.
Well,
I'm
I
serious.
do
Don't
that.
tell nobody you gonna do it. Just go and say, put your stuff down and say, mama, come here. And she gonna look at you crazy anyway. And then when you see her, just give her a big old hug and say, I thank you. I love you.
I do that often, and I
Okay,
will do.
then. What okay, okay.
Yeah, I do that often. I actually reconfirm it as much as possible, because I want her to understand it, and I want her to really be able to embrace it, because there's times where she still doesn't, questions some of the things, and I'm like, nah. So she was at a funeral over the weekend,
Man, I'm off. Shut up, man.
Yeah, and it was a father figure to her, you know, and she told me that, she was able to see now that we're having conversations. My brother and I are having conversations with her about men and about the value of men that she sometimes wasn't able to embrace. And she's she called me and she was like, you know what? I'm glad you guys have been talking with me, because what I found out is when I was here, and I saw one of the guys, they reminded me that I did a good job with you guys, and I can now see that I did a
Come
great
on,
job with
man.
you guys.
Come on, man.
And she said, I thank you and your brother for talking to me about it, because I never really understood how what type of men I actually made. And I was like, yeah, thank
You
you.
know
And we
why? Because she was listening to other women who didn't do that, who didn't have the luxury, or who didn't even want to. See, because most
well,
of them wouldn't do that.
you're right. She was dealing with other women, but also she was dealing with other women who had daughters who
Right.
didn't have sons.
See?
And so she acknowledged that. We brought it to her attention. We reminded her of that as we was growing. We was reflecting on that. And these are some of the conversations that I was telling you that I wanted to have, the man woman man to woman as opposed to mother to son, because this is where a lot of this came out. This is where a lot of this conversation and reflection was coming. I was like, nah, you really did a great job. You really you were disappointed by a lot of men, and I, including my dad, and I understand. And on behalf of them, I apologize for their immaturity when they displayed it, that you were subjected to.
But you ain't had nothing to do with that. That was before your time. You just
But but
became the
but the
example
thing is,
that
they're not
what
here
she
to
gave you.
apologize. They're not here to apologize. They're
I
all gone.
I know,
So
but
I'm just sharing with her that I recognize, and I'm sure at this point in their lives, they will recognize, the immaturity that they might have displayed towards her at some of those times. They got married young, and now when we look at the age they got married, being in their 20s, etc., she can understand. Wow, her father, when he was raising her, was young. He had just came out of war. So he came home from war, and that too was something that she didn't understand until she became an adult. So a lot of these conversations I'm just blessed to be able to have right now, and I embrace it, and that's why, again, I wanted to clarify. It's not that I don't respect my mother at whatsoever. I respect her wholeheartedly. It's just not the title of mother that garnishes that respect. It's the
right,
person who she is and the things that she's done, and the woman who she chose to be, and how she raised us, the men that she raised us to be, along with my dad, and a lot of the decisions she made that she was doubtful on, and that she sometimes had doubt on. I wanted to reinforce and let her know that I'm not respecting you because you're my mother. I'm respecting you because you're my mother, and you're a wonderful woman. You're a woman who did so much in my life, that's why I respect you. The same way with, if I was talking in the job and family members, I respect people for who they are, not the title that they that I've been born to, or that I've learned about.
Paul, you want to jump into this?
Sure. I just want them let them cook. They were having a good
No,
exchange here, so
yeah, of course.
I didn't want to get in the middle of that. Um, I kind of disagree. I think we may still just have a problem with definitions here. I think that's where it is. So, Sean, when you were talking about, I don't respect you just because you're a title. I respect you for just what you did. For me, respect is all about titles. Starts with your parents, your teachers, your coaches, whatever position that's in. But the difference then is, again, from that, and again, you get a base level of respect based on that position and what that position entails, especially if it's a position of hierarchy. Uh, but what you build from there, like I said, you build trust and hopefully love. So if I was to take what you said, I would rephrase it this way: I respect you because you're my mother, but because of what you've done for me over the years, I love you and I trust you. That is to me. So it's like respect is like if you were to look at like a building, it's the skeleton of the building. What you fill it with is the acts that you do. And so there's always going to, for me, there's always going to be that level again, depending on the position. Now, if we are peers, then again, there's going to be respect that I'm going to give you because you're a peer. I'm going to certainly expect that same level of respect on the way back. And I certainly think that respect needs to change as positions change. So let's say we started out as peers, or we started out where you were my supervisor. But through my efforts and everything and the company recognized, now we get flipped. I get promoted to VP. And now you work for me. So I think there's a respect change that may happen there. Doesn't mean I don't value you as a person still, but how we go about doing things, I think, changes because of the change in position. So for me, respect is really about those things that I can, because even with the parent thing, now again, my background I've shared many times, very tumultuous, very similar to Trey Ferg in terms of my father. My father was a major drinker and whatnot. My mom had mental issues, like serious ones, and it made it very difficult to love her for a good portion of my adult life because of those things. But it got to a point where I still, to this day, I am her primary guard. I'm her power of attorney. I take care of her because she's my mother. If you were to go over the love part of what she did for me and whatnot, it was pretty hellacious. But I was able to grow and mature to a point where I still honor my mother and my father. I took care of my dad passed in 2018. I took care of both of them in their old age, even though their treatment of me or what I had to dealing with both of them wasn't something that I respected, but I still honored them because of that. So for me, that to me is the difference. So I do agree with you that respect is a learned behavior, and it starts, I think, when you're young. It builds from there, and like I said, it can be built, it can be lost, but what fills the gaps is the love, affection, and trust of a healthy relationship. That's what makes it where, like, you don't even have to deal with the idea of, well, you better respect me, because that love and admiration is such where, it's like with coaches, like, you used to have like the dictators, the Bobby Knights, those guys are like, look, you either do it my way or you're off the team, you're not playing, or they call you every name in the book and whatnot. And guys back then, the culture was like, well, you just take it. But then you got guys like, say, like a Tony Dungy, who's like, I'm going to treat you like a human being, basically. And you build a culture to such where your players would run through a brick wall for you because of not only just the respect, because you're the coach. So again, you already wear the coach's title, but you've earned their trust. You've earned their admiration. You've earned their affection. And that's what oftentimes makes people sacrifice for you, going above and beyond what they could think they can do because of that, what you have built up with them. You do build up that emotional currency with people that has them extend beyond just respect. So like I said, I think respect is like, it's a floor. So if I start a new job today, it's okay, this is my supervisor. Okay, because you're the supervisor, whatever it is, that comes with a certain reverence. As we build a relationship, as we work together and produce results, and you give me your best, I give you my best, we build a rapport, we build a relationship where it's like, you may ask me to do something off hours. So look, man, I need you to come in on the weekend, whatever, or I need your work. No problem. Because I know you've had my back the whole time. So yeah, so anything I make, to make the situation better, then great. Like I said, I'll go above and beyond because you've been good to me. Then I'm gonna pay that back and make sure that that you're good. So I think that's that's healthy relationships. I think that just naturally comes out from that love, trust, admiration. It goes beyond respect, but respect is the floor. So to me, so that'd be the only thing And I'm glad you got to that state with your mom. And but so that's the only thing I would just change the wording, or I would change the dynamics. I think we're kind of like, yeah, I think we can agree and rock with what you're saying. I would just probably use just different words to express it. And as I said earlier, I think that certainly with older people or people in authority, I think they need to allow that same um, respect or that admiration to grow in the people that they're leading. Again, the idea is I want to make, if I'm a super, I want people to be elevated. I want people to grow. I don't want people just under my thumb or just in a constant state where, even as a parent, I said, I'm your father. And just that means you have to listen to what I say, or it's not open for discussion. You 40 years old, I'm 70, and I'm still treating you like a child. No, there has to be a point where there's a transfer. There's a yielding to say, look, you grown. So like I said, at this point in my life now, I feel like I'm less of a parent. I'm more like an advisor. I'm like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'll drop you some wisdom if you want it. You're going to go off and do your thing or whatever. Say, all right, go ahead. If it doesn't work, whatever, you can come back. I'll be here, and so it doesn't, do it because I told you to. I'm saying, look, this is what I know. See if it works for you or not. And so even with my kids, the dynamic has changed dramatically over the past few years. My youngest turns 21 tomorrow. And it's already just with them, just our relationship is different. 10 years ago, it was like, yeah, do this because I'm your daddy. But it's a different ball game right now. And I enjoy this time probably even more than I did back then. But again, because we built that emotional equity in. When my girls called me up from college or whatever, and they said, like, Dad, I need to talk, I need your advice. So that's that trust that's been built. It doesn't even have to go to respect. In fact, in a lot of ways, I'll even take that as a form of respect, that, okay, they reaching out to me on stuff. I already got, the respect, but more than that, their trust. And that's what I think I want to focus on in their adult years. I want their trust, their admiration, and yeah, we just kind of go from there.
So I like where you guys are going with this. So I want to add my little sense because I have a different relationship with my mother than you guys have with the respect part. If anybody had a camera record how my relationship with my mother, it probably think is brutal and the most craziest fucked up relationship you've ever seen. For 10 minutes this morning, we're just like not even arguing, we're just having a conversation. And I understand, I don't remember how she's telling me to go fuck myself, and we're going back and forth, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you for 10 minutes. Because that's how we are. I know it sounds weird, it's fucked up, but that's how we always been. But I do respect my mother. But my mother has a problem letting go of the authority of my mother. When she asks me, okay, do this, and now she's learning, like, no, I won't do this till I said she's going to do it because I'm the head of the house.
Mm.
So, but the only thing I also want to add, also, besides that, is when people are in authority, I'm not talking about parents only, and I see more lately than ever, and it's starting to bug the shit out of me. People authorities think they are better than you. They can talk down to you. They go power hungry when they finally get some authority. Some of them don't even deserve it, and they get it. It's like, okay, time to pull that wrench out, and you can't because you have gone too far down the rabbit hole. Am I making sense here? What I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. So I dealt with it in my business a lot. People first, they were trying to be chefs. Those guys who come out of school for sure. Oh my God, they're the worst ones. They really just graduate high school. They're chefs. They go, oh, you can't tell me what to do. Like, okay, show me how to do X, Y, Z, whatever it is. They say Alfredo, and they have no idea how to make Alfredo. I had one guy. I'm not even joking you with this. Came out of college and he was gonna put cucumber in a chicken stock. I'm like, where the hell did you learn that shit? I'm like, you should sue school. I never seen that in my life. But that's the point. People get power hungry so hard, so fast. So, guys, anything else to add before we move on?
Grooming. Now, I hope I didn't hear you correctly, and because I ain't gonna let you just push past that without giving pushback. Now, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Me, and my mom cursing at each other.
Hey, man, listen. What you talking about, man?
We joke
Hey,
around when we
no,
do it.
no,
We
no,
don't do it
no.
during an argument. We joke around with it like that. You know what I'm saying?
Grooming.
I knew this is
You
coming.
you the only child, man.
Yes, I am.
Okay, man. Stop acting like a spoiled brat with your mama, man. Stop it. Stop it.
I knew it was coming.
Shout out to the
I should have put
mamas,
money on
man.
that.
Stop acting
Hey,
like a spoiled. Don't be cussing at your mama, man.
hey, look, I stand
You
guilty as charged.
what
And I cursed my mom out for real.
but
Oh, I
what I'm
haven't
saying,
even done
brother
it.
Benedict,
I'm just saying,
no,
so
no, your grooming been with his mama all his damn life.
mhm.
See, it's a
Thanks for
difference. See
reminding me.
what I'm saying? He been with his mama all his life since he was a baby. She been taking care of him. She look out for him. I know you get angry grooming, but take it out on
No,
them old
I don't really. I understand where
grooming.
she's coming from.
No, listen to your mama. She gonna tell you right. She's a hard head just like you. You get it from her.
Hey, watch it with a hard headed.
Now,
You
now,
get it from her.
now I'm
So
gonna push back on that because, quite frankly, what you're saying is correct, but what you're saying is the condition that I was speaking about earlier. We
Mm.
have this listen to your mama condition, and it's
yeah,
not always
part
the
of it.
best advice. And we need to be very clear and understand that in order for all of us to grow. And when
So
we
let me
don't,
say this,
go
just
ahead.
so I can make sure. Grooming, cursing at your mama is a no. Is all I'm saying. That's what my biggest thing. No, you can't curse at her. I don't curse. She call you little Greek big nose motherfucker. You say, okay, mama, I
Yeah,
just got a
exactly.
big nose. You love her, but she respects you. She ain't gonna lead you down the wrong road. I'm just saying, for mothers leading a kid down the wrong road, then that's damn near the devil anyway. But you
Mhm.
know, I don't know, man. People, if they got you through, and listen, I'm not talking about people who, just the parents would just had issues or just didn't want to do anything with the child. But if your parents was, if we were didn't have a lot of money and a person was working and kept a roof over your head, I mean, everything else after 21, 18, you got to get for yourself. And I'm not saying because most mothers won't disrespect you unless they disrespecting themselves. See, if they disrespecting themselves, they're gonna disrespect you. But I
But
don't
what's
know.
interesting about what we're talking about, and that's why I said it earlier, is
Yeah,
define
I heard you.
defining what respect is, because
Yeah.
respect to everyone is can be different. And like he just described to me,
Through
I
experience. Yeah,
I can respect his position on that, because he's defined it, and I can respect what he said in reference to the wording and how he feels about it. I can respect what you're saying as well. You know what I mean? So it really starts with defining, because he did also use a word honor, he used trust, and all of these things. We use this one word respect for so many different aspects, and it really becomes confusing
Yeah.
on how to really embrace it, because context matters in this form, because you can be saying it one way,
context does.
respect me, and I'm thinking I am because of what I feel respect is, and you feel opposite that, and that happens in all relationships, not just friendships, family members, supervisors, etc. So that's why I'm giving the clarity of my definition. So, like how you said the supervisor earlier, I can understand
Hmm.
that, but again, I don't respect. I can honor your position. That don't mean I'm gonna respect you, because there's certain things that that I might not respect about you, even though you have that position. I might not respect how you got that position. I might not respect how you run that position. I might not respect how you are treating others because of that position. How you might abuse that authority. So there's certain things that happen, that title you're supposed to honor, but sometimes people abuse those titles, And when they abuse those titles is why I push back on not respecting titles specifically, because if you're abusing it, whether you have the title or not, I can't respect that.
Okay, so you just introduced another word that we haven't really touched. You just mentioned honor. So we talked about there's respect, there's honor, there's trust, there's love, admiration. So there's a bunch of words
And I
that are
just
kind of on the
sorry
on
to interrupt you.
yeah.
But I just want to say this. I didn't introduce it. You did actually. I was just and I
No,
and
I'm
I
saying I'm saying not you. I'm saying in this conversation,
right.
you had mentioned honor. Well, I might have brought it up. Okay, but
No,
I'm just saying
yeah, that's
in the
what I'm saying.
course.
I'm respecting the fact that you actually brought it to my
Yes,
attention,
yes,
and I was building on it.
right. So when you said, but you had then followed up and said, "Look, I may not respect my boss, but I will honor them." That did come from you, right?
Absolutely, yes,
But and that's what you believe, right?
yes. I can honor your position, but that
Okay,
don't mean.
so I'm asking then, from your perspective, what is the difference between honor and respect? Because a lot of people will confuse those two words also. Now I might be using respect and love or something else. Like I said, I think we're all kind of swimming around the same concepts here. We might be naming them a little bit different, but you do make a distinction between honor and respect. So I want to understand from your perspective what that means.
Okay, like for example, I can let's say we were in the military. I can honor the directives. I can honor them because
Mm,
that's what I am supposed to do for the job that I chose to take on, which is what I'm doing. So I'm honoring the rules of the job. Don't mean that I respect everything that is being introduced to me.
mhm.
So that's I don't know if that helps with the difference between the two, but I can honor, I can follow directions. That don't mean that I agree with where we're going. And if I don't agree to an extent, I won't go. But if I'm choosing that, all right, I'm going to follow your lead, even though I might not feel that the leadership is the best, I'm going to follow it. Now, I might suggest when you ask me, I might suggest even if you don't ask me, some things that might be able to give either give some what is it add to what it is you're doing, or I might question, well, and you might
Mhm.
be able to explain it, and then that's where that respect comes, as opposed to just the honoring. When I am confused and I'm like, hey, you know what, why are we doing this, and you are able to share with me and not just take the position it's because I said so, this is what we're going to do. Okay, all right, you know what, i i i I signed up for this. I know the assignment. I'm going to follow that,
Well, brother,
even though. Go
let
ahead.
me stop you. Apparently, you never been in the military because they said where you was gonna go, you wasn't gonna ask no questions. You was gonna get your ass and move. Believe that. You wasn't gonna have no time to be talking about
Agreed.
target.
Agreed. I haven't been in the military, to your point, yes.
Yeah.
And you're right. That's why probably I haven't. It's
But on
because
a but even on a regular 9 to 5, you have certain protocols and things that you must adhere to.
I don't value jobs
Regardless.
like that. I don't value jobs like that. The
Oh, but see,
jobs
that's what I'm saying. See, yeah,
I,
that's the
I, I will
individual.
I
I
will
don't
leave a
think too many
job.
people think like that.
Right. I will leave a job quickly.
Yeah.
It's in
See,
fact. Yeah.
most people can't
I
afford to
understand.
leave a
I
job.
understand how to make money outside of a job. So
I'm just saying, most people can
So Sean,
afford to
I'll be
do it.
straight up with you. Most kitchens are like that too. Is if they tell you to do something, you use no argument. The chef says. Chef says. Simple as that.
that's my point. That's the
Yeah,
honoring that I'm doing. That's
and
why I said I will honor it. I
yeah.
will honor that, no problem,
No, no,
because
no
I,
arguing
I
that.
chose
And
to.
that's where I looked at most of the chefs like, yeah, this is gonna be a bad fucking idea. I have argued because you fire me, I'm not worried. I'm gonna find another job. Very simple. Um, but there've been a lot of chefs who are assholes. Simple as that. Best way I can put it. Like the way you see Ramsay act on TV with Hell Kitchen, that's how chefs really act. They throw shit at you.
And my question to you fellas, if somebody did that, do you respect them? If
Absolutely
they
not.
threw stuff at you, or did some things that are
Okay, Sean, I'll put it this
really
way, brother. like the best chefs I work with, and I had a great experience, and I stayed longer. Is the chefs that who actually respected me. The chefs that threw shit at me, I was there long. I was there for a couple of days. Or talked down to me, or any kind of disrespect. I was already. I knew I was on borrowed time because I'm getting my help, not because they're going to fire me, because I'm not going to stay under the conditions to work there.
To answer your question, again, I said earlier that I think respect is something that can be earned. Or, I mean, gained. You come in at a base, you can add to it. It's like an account. You can add, or it can be taken away. So again, on day one, I come in. There is a certain level of respect that I come in with as a human being, at how you treat people. If I see you disrespecting others through your behavior, through your actions, your decisions, or whatever, I can certainly lose respect for you. But you'll go back down to the floor. Now, I think the way you defined it, you would then call that honor. That honor code at the bottom. That, like, for you, honor is the base. I think for me, I guess I might have defined respect as the base, and that might be where the difference is. Like I say, I think we agree more than we disagree on this. I just think that the words that we're using as far as what the base is, you would call it honor the position. I may say respect the position. I don't respect you, but I respect the position. I think you would say I don't respect you, but I honor the position.
And you're right. I think it's synonymous, and it can be that's why context matters, because
Yes.
you're right, saying the same thing, they're synonymous in the context that we're using them in
Right.
different ways. So yeah, and I can agree with you. I can
Yeah.
even say, from your definition, I respect authority from that, using it in that context. Absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I knew. Yeah. I knew we were. I was like, yeah, look, we there. We just, like I
I think
said, we just need
you
to
guys are on the
clean up a
same
little bit.
page. The
Yeah.
bilingual, you guys, how you were saying it was a little different. Can you guys agree on that at least?
Yeah.
Sean?
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I
Smart.
respect that.
Yeah, that's how you learn, though.
Smart ass.
See, that's Generation X, though. That's all it is. Three different
See,
perspectives going to
hang,
the same road.
hang on, Trey. I got to push back on that. I don't think it's a generation thing as much as how you're raised.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Well. That too, grooming is similar, because generation, you was raised a certain way.
Yeah,
So y'all both are right.
yeah.
Put it the way I was raised. Like, listen, I know I was raised a little old school because my grandmother raised me, but those are the values that I will probably pass on to my child's, kids, or whatever you want to call them, sperms.
All right.
Um, so
But I think you're raising a. I think what you are raising, um, at least what I'm thinking about, is in today's climate. Because again, we're all come from different generational perspectives here. In today's climate, how can we teach, honor, respect those things using in today's world, rather than, because everyone's talking about, oh, we need to go back to the old days. We need to go back to the belt when you could beat your kid and all this other stuff, and that's we're not going back. I mean, everyone says we need, these relationship guys, we need to go back to the 50s or back to, we're not going back, we're going forward. This is the world that we're in, whether we like it or not. Question is, how can we teach the values that we want in certainly younger generations and moving forward, that allows us to live and work with one another and respect one another going forward in this realm? Because we can all wax poetic about back in the day, but we don't have a time machine here, and we're not, that's not happening. So how do we teach young people the idea of to respect others, to respect themselves, and to respect others? What does that look like in 2024 versus 1974?
So here's where I'm gonna push back with a comment of yours, Paul. Going back with belt, I don't think we should. I agree what you're saying on that. The reason I say that, because, okay, yeah, I was the old school. Here, come here. smack over the head or whatever the case was. I never got the belt weird. I got more like the smack. But some people go to the extreme, and this is where the laws came in. I think when you're beating your kid to the point he cannot walk the next day, that's way too much. So
Oh yeah, yeah, welts. I mean, you could see. I mean, you went to school, you see the welts and whatnot, and like, what happened to you? Oh, I fell. I mean, it was,
that's my point.
it was, you were embarrassed to say it, but you still, had to go, and you made up all kinds of excuses, or I got into a fight with my brother or something like that, or whatever it was, or I ran into the door, and people raised, teachers, administrators, they say, look, you know, there's some problems here, and those things had to be addressed. Now, did the pendulum go over too much to the other side, to where it seems like today people think that kids have all the power now? Like, you don't have the authority over your children in terms of decisions they make about their bodies, or whatnot. Is there a, is there a leveling back? So if the pendulum did swing the other way, how can we get it at least to go back to center? Again, I don't want to go back to, you getting beat with extension cords and switches, and that's which I got hit with. I got everything. So and a lot of that I got literally for doing nothing. But that's another story. So what is that balanced place that we need to get to?
Before we move on to that, I know Trey has a little more experience than this. So Trey, you want to jump in on this?
And
Because I
from
know
Brother
you deal
Bennett's
with kids. That's what I'm
from
asking.
but from Brother Bennett's point of view, he understands exactly where the floor level is. And Brother Bennett, you speaking about it because it talks about the young ones in the future, right?
Mhm.
That's what I understand. So it's like brothers like yourself, you know, and this is me, man. This find a little elementary school and just ask them, can you come in there and get 20 of their worst students and just give them Mr. Bennett? It change it. I know at least 5 to 7 of them. And if you can give them one day a week, 2 hours, one day a week, and let them know, get all they I mean, it's just me, man, talking, but it's the downside is that based off the numbers, most of our young men are being born of a small group, and most brothers who are single, you know, they tend to stay away from that. Even the good brothers tend to stay away from helping the young men because a lot of young men get lost early.
Mm.
And here, from my experience, when I became a young adult, even as playing sports, so I've always been into want to help and coach. I used to coach my brother and little kids around the neighborhood, and I was a teenager. Show them how to shoot a jump shot, show them how to run the ball, throw the ball, catch the ball, even when I was a kid. So as I got to a young adult, I found a way to just inspire little young kids, youngsters, teenagers, and just talking to them real life, give them my own experience, how good or ugly it was, just like, but love yourself, respect, respect people, places, and things, just like a noun, just like you learned in school, people, places, and things, and demand respect from people. There's no one above you, no one less than you. You you communicate equally, or you don't communicate at all. But as far as the
It's
working
23
with the
hours.
a change, it's gonna take these 21 to 41 year olds to sort of get their differences worked out because the youth are really just giving up early. They see too much. They see a whole lot of mess, man. They see a whole lot of cursing, fighting. It's more, you know. So they don't. The teenagers don't have nothing to do this summer. They ain't giving summer jobs. They ain't doing none of that. They cutting back on all these programs. And a lot of young teenagers just gonna be out there in the streets. But it's a great time, man, to, if you find some time, I'm telling you, teach these young men and women just how to respect themselves, love themselves, tap into their God-given talents. And it's unfortunate that a lot of youth are just, we're born into these situations. They have no control. So they always get a pass to a certain point. But at some point, they got to understand life for what it is and do better by that. Be better in school, learn how to read and write for yourself, learn math, science, social studies, and learn a foreign language. It'll make you rich if you learn a foreign language, especially today. But if you can draw. I mean, there's so many things that the youth can do, but as far as the young adults have to stop looking sideways and gain these skills necessary to move into the future. Stop looking at other people and what other people got. Because we all ain't got nothing. All this shit can be gone in a day. Just get your skills set up, get your weights up, get your muscles up, get you some biceps, some neck muscles. Don't smoke too much weed. Don't drink too much alcohol. Cut out some sugar. Everybody single should be fit and feminine. Men should be muscular and brawny. But that's just me, man, especially when you're young, man, because you don't want to get old and bald. But everything in between, man, the world is a little different from my time. Don't whoop your kids. If you know you need a whooping, if you show your booty cheeks, you have no right to whoop a kid at all. That's just me. And ladies, get their sons to be fathers this summer. Just let them go over. Now, if he's an old jerk, just talk to him in front of all his mama and them and talk to your baby. If he's going on 12, brothers, it'll change your life if you get them. I don't care if you get all four of them together, 2, 3, 1, whatever. If you got one, just get everybody together, take pictures, hang out. And the women, y'all stay out of that shit. It ain't got nothing to do with y'all. Take that little child support over to him. Say, here. Make sure his clothes is clean when he go over too. But it's so many dynamics in our community, you know what I'm saying? It's an election year coming up. We still arguing about relationships and, crazy, man. So respect yourself, respect kids, respect the elders, respect those that are special needs, disabled. I don't respect people who got a handout talking about gimme and you able-minded body. I stay away from them. But if you want to help build, life will bless you. That's all I got.
See, here's my issue with the last part you said, building. And I have said this in a lot of different streams, and I'm going to keep saying this. We are asking a lot with the new generation coming up. I'll explain to you why. Even with my generation, because a lot of my generation were having kids in high school. So kids was raising kids. And I think this is why we're in the status we are in. So goddamn fucked up. Because kids were raising kids. They were not ready to raise kids. They haven't even partied. They haven't had their first drink, God forbid. And now you're asking them to raise a kid at fucking 14, 15. They're not ready for it. And that's the problem we're facing now. We're hitting all the backlash. This is why this world, is going to shit. Forget it. You're not going back. No way. No way. We're so far from that point now.
Grooming. In the Greek culture, young girls was having children early too?
No.
Right. See, now you're talking African American. I can get down with that. Yes, but that's always been in our community. But listen,
hang on,
in our community for a while.
But that's nuanced though.
Yeah.
I can't let you get away with that one, grooming.
Yeah.
You said they're not having kids, but they're having a whole bunch of deletions though.
Yeah, I'm not denying that one bit.
So I'm just saying. So I don't want to paint a picture that these young Greek girls are just all virtuous and whatnot. No, they getting busy too.
I'm not saying they're on
I'm
not saying that.
Woman, here's my push. Here's my pushback to that. The maturity in this day and age has diminished because we were having children young, generations prior to us, and they were capable and very, you know, they achieved a lot. It's
Yeah.
just so it's not about the age. It's about right now we have our values in the wrong places.
Yes.
And for example, and just not too many generations ago, whether we like it or not, it was honored to marry a woman when you got her pregnant. That is something that has been far, uh, far and long away now, if we think about it. But it was literally, if we think about it, less than 50 years ago.
No, I think that was the boomers.
Maybe,
That was
huh?
the boomers. That wasn't Generation X. That was the boomers.
Yeah, the boomers. Okay,
That was
you're
the
right.
boomers.
But the
To
point
us,
being
yeah.
is that they were our parents' generation, where they you married her, you made her an honorable woman. That is what they called it. And we have long shifted from there. We have long lost the value of that. And that's kind of why we continue to go down the slope. So to answer your question, how do we move forward? We have to we don't have to go backwards, but we have to reestablish values. We have to
Mm.
reestablish what people value. Right now, our biggest issue is that we have instilled into a lot of the new generation that the most valuable thing is money. And
So
so with
That is sad
the
truth, unfortunately. And you're 100% right. I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing none of this stuff. The only thing I'm saying is, I'm not saying Greek women in my culture has been innocent. No, they have their own deletions and so on. What I am saying is, when you have a whole country having kids very young, problems are going to come up eventually. That's what I'm saying.
well,
Every family.
all I'm
Go
saying
ahead.
is that it has nothing to do with you.
Mhm.
That might be our easiest excuse to get out of it, but the mentality is the problem. The maturity is the immaturity is the problem, and immaturity doesn't come with age often. And unfortunately, we have a lot of grown, like he just said, if I can see your cheeks, you shouldn't be spanking nobody. That has nothing to do with age. That has to do with mentality. You see people who are 30, 40, now even 50 showing cheeks. Eh,
Good point.
So it, it, that's the only thing I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the still brothers still walking around with their pants sagging too at that age.
I
So
never, you know what?
everybody's in the
Okay,
middle.
time out on that for a second. Maybe you guys understand that. Like, I never understood that style. I never understood that.
Comes from prison culture,
Yeah, that's where it comes from.
and a lot of that prison culture is tied to hip hop culture.
Yes. And a lot of it's in and out of the system. And and it's a small group too. It's not the majority of black men. It's never been. It's just the one that's highlighted to always say, see, look at them over there. And even we be like, look at them over there. But they like, look at all of them just for a small culture. And that's why you see a lot of the bad stuff spewing out now. And this has been only about 30 years. So it's going to play. This is starting to play itself out. The hip hop of rap music is starting to play itself out in the ugliest way. In the ugliest way. Shout out to the fucking old school. Because hey, I'm telling you, it's
All I
played
listen
out.
to. I stopped listening to rap like seriously like in 1996, like
Shit,
95, 96. Like if you look at 95% of the rap that I own, it's from that
once that dirty
period
rap got
prior.
into it, it was ugly, wasn't it?
Was that?
Once that dirty South rap got into it, it changed the
On
game.
the West Coast, well, I don't know. West Coast might have, I don't know what came first, West Coast or Dirty South.
I
But
was
yeah,
West
I thought it
Coast,
was
too
West
short.
Coast.
Back
around
in the day, when the 80s, too
around that.
short.
But even then, it was weird because I mean they would do stuff like you said, like Too Short. Those guys, they had some, it was gritty. It was almost
Yeah,
like
he
it was
used the
like the
bitch word
message.
about 21 times in a
It was
song.
like it was like the message, but for like the '90s. You know, what I mean, it was definitely a bit sort of update because they did a lot of things dealing with the like my mind playing tricks on me.
Yeah,
that
the
one?
Ghetto Boys.
That's what I'm saying. Like that was like it was
Shout out to the
street
Ghetto
poetry,
Boys.
but it was like saying like serious stuff. Like, man, it's like
Yeah,
I want you guys to listen. Like you don't want this. Listen,
yeah.
this
You
is
don't
this
want
is what it's like.
Yeah.
It still wasn't glorified, but they was showing you real messages like when Boys in the Hood came out. That wasn't to be glorified.
No, it
It
was a
was just
real
like
message.
this is what's really going on.
Yeah.
Y'all don't want this.
Yeah.
But then people decided to
Straight down that
merchandise
razor blade.
and make it popular. But yeah, but as far as the point, as far as where to go, I definitely think the idea, since the show is dealing with respect, I think that you talk about values. I think start with a basic understanding of respect. That's what I'm saying. I think it's something that you need to start early with, and has to be something that at least at a base level that is given. If you don't want to call it respect, call it honor. But I think it needs to start there, because just when you have, and I think certainly the difference between yesterday and today is, I think, technology and information being available. See, back in the day, it would take you years to learn a skill. Like there was back in the day, you had craftsmen and apprenticeships. So if you want to be good at your craft, whether it be farming, woodworking, metalwork, or whatever, there was a process that you went through. Now we're in this information age where you can learn something simply by watching YouTube videos or what have you. The time it took to acquire not only the skills, but the patience to learn that, to be disciplined enough to hone your skill over a certain period of time. A lot of that's been taken away from some people. So you would go to the OG to learn about history or whatever, because that OG lived that experience. They would share that with you. Now you can look it up now, because you can sort of jump to the head of the class because you know the same information too. Well, I'm on the same level as you now. So because I'm on the same level as you, I don't necessarily have to respect you, because what took you 20 years to get, I learned in a year. And so I think part of what technology has given it's certainly it's leveled that playing field where you didn't have to have to learn from the other generation. So these young people now, in a lot of respects, they know more than the older generation. I mean, Gen Zers or whatnot. I mean, they were mastering the computer by 4. I didn't get my first computer until I was 21, like 19 years old. I got my first Apple Macintosh computer at 19. Kids are growing up 4 or 5 years, so they're already masters of this stuff early on. And so the ability to get skills, I think, has certainly been accelerated. But the lessons learned in the acquisition of the skill, like I said earlier, the patience used to acquire the skill, I think that is something that is lost, that I think a lot of younger people do not respect. And I think that's what's causing a lot of the issues between like Gen Xers and millennials, or Gen Xers and Gen Zers. A lot of that respect has been lost because, look, it took y'all years to get, like, even with the rap. Like, I remember was one guy, I think it was Academics. He talked about how those OGs, Trey, that we grew up on, how they basically called them losers, because he said, as good as those guys were, and to me, those guys are still the greatest MCs.
Yes, sir.
But they didn't make any money.
No, because they wasn't just doing it for the money. They was just
part of it was that. Part of it, you didn't have the platform, you didn't have the technology.
Sure didn't.
But now these guys who you don't have to know half of anything or can barely rap at all, and you're making much more money than these guys did back in the day. I mean, these big rappers going on tour, they lived at home in their apartment back in Bed-Stuy or Brooklyn, whatever. I mean, they weren't, painting this picture of this lifestyle or whatever. Because again, the platform wasn't there. But he called them essentially losers because they couldn't capitalize on their success, and now they go on with the what do you call it? Like the old tour, like the OG tour or whatnot. So you see your guys up there, they 50, 60 years old, still rapping or whatever, but they making $10,000. Guy doesn't know anything, but because of all the avenues available, they're making a lot more money. So that's what I'm saying. So the ability to create things, and I think Sean even mentioned earlier, create money there's no respect for those guys who necessarily paved the way for those guys to be where they're at.
Absolutely. And I rebuttal to academics calling the old school dusty. And my rebuttal was, if not for them, you wouldn't have any money that you have now.
Not at all.
And that's, so that's the dishonorable thing that 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 was being displayed at that moment. While I can understand some of your points of views, but instead of taking it from that angle, what I challenged him to do was, why don't you empower them by sharing some of the money that you have, that they helped you, gave you the ability to do, and go from that angle, because without them you wouldn't have the money you have. To the points that y'all were making earlier with what I call good parents who make those sacrifices for their children. And so that morality has been replaced with monetary gain.
Yeah.
And that's why I said earlier, what we're valuing now is money and getting the bag. And that needs to kind of shift. When I push back with Kevin Samuels, for example, my primary pushback was the fact of him defining high valued as an earner, because that's why. But to his credit, he said, it's not my definition, it's society's definition. And I couldn't dispute that. I couldn't argue that. I agree. And that's what we need to try to address. Like you said, have a defined definition of what respect or honor is, or what should be respected or honored, which came through apprenticeship, which came through mentorship, which came through fathers, cultures, etc. Elders provided wisdom when younger often acquired the knowledge. And when you combine the wisdom with the knowledge, you have a thriving society, or thriving culture. And that's what I think is missing, because we don't sit in our wisdom, just like they don't sit in their knowledge, and combine the two and respect the two, respect one another. So we have a lot of the knowledgeable who are looking down at those who have wisdom, and vice versa. And usually the knowledgeable are looking down on those with wisdom, because the wisdom are too prideful to be able to understand that they have knowledge and respect the knowledge that they have.
That's a great point. Yeah, I've mentioned that in the past also. Well, one, I think people are mistaking wisdom and knowledge. I think that's part of the confusion. The other part is, like I said, I think that the older people, I think, are sticking around longer. You know what I'm saying? Like, in terms of like power transfer, this is what I was saying earlier about raising adults, raising successors. We're not doing that anymore. I think part of it, again, is almost like we had it too good. You see it in sports now. Like in the NFL, if you were 35 years old, you were done. Quarterback, nobody played quarterback past 35. Now you got guys, because of the advances in health and diet and all these things, these guys are trying to play to like 40, in their mid 40s. And so for a lot of the OGs, they're not necessarily getting off the stage to be the wise counsel. They still want to be in leadership. And I see this in a lot of places. I see it in churches. I see it in major organizations.
Yeah, you see it in
Politics, everywhere.
Yeah, they don't want to leave the floor. But if you look at any movement, I don't care if it's Jesus, if you look at Martin Luther King, the Black Panthers.
Yes, sir.
All those guys were young.
Yeah.
MLK was 26.
Yes.
When they started the bus boycott. Them brothers who started the Panthers,
they was 20 in their early 20s.
He's like 21.
Yeah, 21.
I mean, like I saw Jesus and the
24.
Black Messiah. I'm like, this brother was 21 years
They
old.
were babies. Yes.
So the idea, or even if you watch even the fictional, like Black Panther, right? The idea is that the Panther is a young guy. He goes and consults. He eats that herb. He goes consults with the wise. Now he can take their advice or he can leave it. It's his call. At the end, he had to cuss him out. At the end, he was like, "Y'all were wrong for what y'all did. Y'all, y'all
That's
should
what
know
we
better."
are right now. That's
but
what we are.
but
Everybody blaming.
but still, movements is a young person's game. Directing, there's like, even in entertainment, you have directors, but some people are producers and some people are executive producers. And for a lot of people, they want to be in that captain's chair. They want to be in that chair with making things happen. It's like, look, if you're a captain, like you try to be Captain Kirk, it's like, nah, you need to move get him into the admiralty, get him into a desk office or whatnot. So he should be advised of the next Captain Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I think on both sides, I think the young people not respecting the older ones because they've been on the floor too long, and the older ones not giving up that authority to say, look, here, you take this and run with it, but I'll back you. I'll give you my contacts. I'll give you my network. I'll give you money. Think of how politics works now. We keep talking about Democrats and Republicans and all that. It's the guys we don't even know about. Them billionaires and those dark money people who just be pumping money into things. Those are the guys who are really running things. And I think for a lot of older guys, we need to be able to say, it's like, look, here are the keys. If you need me, I'm here. I'm like so many analogies. The Godfather, right? The consigliere, right? When the governor, when he got old, he said, look, Michael's in charge. But I'm the OG. I'm still the wizard. So yeah, I'm going to share with you what I know. But Michael's the head of the family right now. And I think that kind of process needs to take place. So for the young people, I say, look, I want you to take this thing and run with it. But I want to build a relationship with you that you can come and say, yo, I'm dealing with this, from your experience, what do you know about this? Or what do you think about this or whatever? And you could take it or leave it. But I want to have that kind of relationship, that's what I'm trying to foster with my kids now. Like I said, less and less I'm telling my kids what to do. But I am trying to convey to them a thought process as they consider decisions. So I was like, have you thought about this? Consider this. And then you say, go on and do what you're going to do. And you come back and say, hey, Dad, that worked. Great. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate it. That was the best thing. I'm good with it. If you decide to go on your own, that's fine too. But I'll be here. If you need me, that didn't go well, maybe I should listen to you this time. I'm good with that. Like I said, I am not trying to lord over my kids' lives. I just give them some guardrails to say, look, don't have a kid before marriage. That's my main thing. Marry before you carry. Get your career, get your stuff together, your education, get your stuff going, all that kind of stuff. But you want to wait on that one. But everything else is worthy of a discussion. So how I treat them is, even with younger people, I give them that same grace. Yeah, you have a right to express yourself and what your views are and whatnot. I'll share mine. If it makes sense, fine. Perfect. If not, no problem. I'm not thinking you're stupid. I'm not thinking, oh, you don't know nothing. I just want, I just share what I got. I've been married. This is my 28th year of marriage. But I say that intentionally.
Happy anniversary.
Appreciate it. But I say that intentionally. I say this is my 28th year of marriage. I do not say I've been married 26. I do not say I've been married 27 years. This is my 28th year, meaning the only year that counts is this one. Because I can't go back to those other years. This is a new time. My wife and I were almost empty nesters. We're going to a new phase of life. So I got to work on this year. So the fact that I broke my marriage down into 1 year at a time, guess who I can talk to about marriage? A newlywed. Because I can there's something to be gleaned. But if I go around saying I've been married 27 years, no person married 5 years, they can't tell me nothing, I know everything up and down, left, right, and center, I don't grow from that. So we talk to all kinds of married 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 40 years, 60 years. We got all kinds of people who we interact with at different levels of marriage that I want to learn from. So 1 year at a time. This season that I'm in, what do you got? You've been married. You guys just got married. What do you learn in your first year? What do you? Now I may say, hey, you know what? That's something, in this new reality that they're in. Hey, that's something interesting. I never thought about that. Hey, thank you for the advice. And then if they want something from me, I'll give them what I got. But I'm not trying to sun people in this time. It's like, let's have a conversation and let's grow and let's learn from one another. That's kind of where I'm at right now with it. But I think a lot of older G's, I think need to consider that, because I think, as you were saying earlier, Sean, I think a lot of young people have a lot of knowledge and a lot of things to offer and a lot of energy, and I just want to see them be successful without me lording over them.
Brother Bennett, it's unique. You have daughters, right?
Yes.
Like I say, I have a son, so I'm more intentional with him, trying to give him more intentional type of movement, because me understanding how to have to navigate through the workforce as a young Black man, as far as getting the skill set to get a career, so you can start moving in whichever lane you decide to settle in, but you have to have something that you can acquire early. And what I'm saying, because he's a man, he's a Black man, so he's going to have something more intentional, and he's a good at save. He saves his money, so I don't have to be talking to him about finance, because he know how I move when it comes to money.
Right.
So he good with that. But it's, he's a lady. He's a attractive man, according to his stories, because I don't get into him. I let him know the same thing. Protect yourself, and he follows that protection because he understands what his worth is. But he's a very low-key guy, little shy, down to earth, little sense of humor come out sometimes. Totally opposite of when I was. And I've allowed him sort of just be in himself, be in his own little spirit, because he know I used to work out. So now he go to the gym regularly. I'm like, man, shoot. But as far as his going into, because he just turned 21, I'm just saying, I've been telling him, listen, look at all avenues for a career at some point before age 25, 26. So you can, at least if you want to go one lane for a little while, you have something, then you can try another lane before you try this little, I don't know, subpar shit for the next 10 years of your life. Then you're going into your 30s, and then you looking to have a whole career life change, setting yourself in a position to create more debt for yourself. It's, it's like going backwards in a sense.
Yeah.
And you know how those things really fade out quick. He'll be 10 years older. It's more competition still coming out of school or coming to the country, whatever area, the AI and the computers, the technology is advancing. And him not finding a niche somewhere, whether it's working with people, himself, technology, whatever, it's going to be more intentional for him to have that. And I've seen it, especially in education, because a lot of brothers who don't choose a path, they end up just being stuck in the workforce, and the workforce is ugly. It's brutal. So, but you have to have some years of, because Social Security is paid forward. You got to put in until you're 77 years old to get your Social Security. So you got to be willing to be able to sustain yourself. If you have children, make sure she's a woman that you can marry, and y'all get married and try to do it that way, at least for a few years, so you won't be putting yourself in a hole. Try it out. You never know. I can't say how that marriage will go, especially young marriage. You just work it out. But then what do the single person do in America? You need $10,000, $12,000 more than you did 4 years ago. And if less people are deciding to go back into work, that's less money being generated. Not a lot of young people will maximize their God-given talents and create avenues of what a money for themselves through that because they won't take the time to do it. And it's just a whole lot of talk, but you still have to be able to live in America within its socioeconomic system, and you have to have something. You old school like me, you understood you had to get those certifications, and you still keep yourself relevant. And even this without a certification, as a brother, unfortunately, you put in some most unless you're an athlete or something like that. But I don't count those. I love and respect the ones that go back and get their college degree because now these guys become real, truly professional businessmen. You know what I'm saying? So I've always looked at like the people that actually take the time, becoming a police officer, a fireman, going into even if you go into the music side of it, working with the electronics, it depends. People, we have so many talents. If we just practice our talent, I don't know, man, because I've been faced with a lot of the same things as far as coming out of graduating high school, family issues, which I went to college, that didn't work out, joined the military, got hurt, it was okay, went back to college, single, married, single, married, just a whole lot. And I understand that without the things that I needed to acquire for myself, as far as learning with the technology, getting my certifications that I needed, then I could very well be just a walking dude on the street talking about, Brother Benny, you got $2, just giving up on myself. And I think and this is my last little story, and I'm gonna give it up. I got a best friend, man. Been friends since we met it. We knew each other playing little league football. His coach, my coach were brothers, and we used to compete. And we didn't go to high school together, but we didn't get to play against each other. So we met and we finally got a chance to officially meet in college. And this is where our friendship developed. So we was roommates, and then, like I said, they took my scholarship. So the next year I had to leave school, and I didn't tell nobody. I just called my father and told him to get him. But then when he joined the military, but he was doing some old crazy stuff. I don't know what he was doing. He was doing something outside of my friendship because he knew I was a pretty honest, I wasn't a street guy, but I knew the streets. So he joined the military. Then I found myself working overnight at fucking Target, you know what I'm saying, sneaking out bikini underwear, fucking, I was doing stupid stuff. I was like, man, this ain't me. So I joined, but then he got into, it was some crazy stuff with him and the law, and he didn't do the honest policy with the military, so they let him go because he had joined before me. He had orders to go to Germany. His life totally reversed from mine. Once I joined, got away, started seeing life, and went to the Gulf War, saw America for like the chaos that it would be today. I used to talk to my friends like they wouldn't believe me. I used to be like, man, America's economy is going to be terrible, blah, 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 because over there, America, I was around a lot of the brass in the army, just fortunate enough to be eating breakfast and listening in. But, and I used to talk about it, and now it's really worse than what I used to say. And I understood because I could have stayed in the military. I said, no, I got to get out and go back to school and get my degree. I got out, and then I got hurt, so it all worked out. Got out, had to get out, went back to school, took advantage of that. Then understanding these last 20, 25 years, 2001, like, man, I'm glad I did that because without that, my jobs would have been fucking struggling back work and boxes and working forward, on my feet all day.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't deserve that for myself. I'll never forget, a white lady told me she can send me to jail just because. I never forget that. I said, man, like that. I never forget that. I'm telling you, I'll never forget that lady. I was in her office, was interviewed by one young lady, and then she's like, man, you don't even like, no, I know. But she came in there and told me that shit. Man, about tears in my eyes, man. I just graduated college, did a tour in the Gulf War, disabled veteran. That's what she tell me. I'm not even home a year. Like, hell no, fuck that. And ain't looked back since, man. But everybody got a story. Mine ain't too bad. You know, especially a young man, just take your time. Just go where you need to go, man. Do what you got to do for yourself. Young woman, your body's your golden ticket. Learn the skill trades too. Shoot, start from yourself. Cook for yourself. All that good stuff. Should have changed your life, man. Save your money because you need $10,000 more. So if you don't work together, then you better be a good saver. That's all I got, man. Shoot. I get
So we're hitting the top of the hour. Let's go one more round, everybody. Sean, you want to start with your final thoughts? Still there? Or did you fall asleep? Going once?
Might have stepped away.
I couldn't hear you.
Okay.
He goes, I thought you fell asleep for a minute there. So,
No, I've just been listening. They've been really sharing some great things, and
Yeah, they're preaching over there.
they bars, as they would say in this day and age.
All right, Sean, up to you, brother. Your final thoughts. Go for it.
Final thoughts is just like I said earlier, we have to understand what respect is before we start speaking to it, and as it was discussed earlier, have a base of what that actually means so that we can move from there. I like that concept of having that base, having that understanding, and growing from there, either growing up or going back, but just having that be a foundation. And that, I think, takes a lot of communication and respect to understand what that is, and to honor what that is. Further than that, all of the things that they were just discussing was, like I said, bars and jewels, because, yeah, we do have to learn to give these young cats the space to be able to grow into the places and spaces that we weren't able to grow in. And I think if we do that in a respectable manner, they will too reciprocate the respect, and all of the accolades that they achieve and receive, they will probably share, because that would be something not that we ask for, but something that naturally, because of what we're pouring into them, they'll learn through the way that we're pouring to pour back into other places as well. And those places might just be forward, they might be backwards, they might be both. So I would just say, if we can learn to do that, and this is a start by having conversations about it, and as it also was described earlier, um, being able to take time, invest time, and value the time that you're investing into others, especially into the youth. It goes a long way. So I would say, yeah, let's invest that time. Let's invest the time with the fact of not lording, as it was spoken earlier, over the youth, but mentoring and giving some tutelage. And part of the biggest step in mentoring, a servant is a master, because to he you are dependent. So if we act as a servant, we will secure the mastery that's necessary to be able to lend to the future masters. And the best master will be the master that has been a servant prior to being a master.
Thanks, Sean. Like always, appreciate great
Bars.
preaching, I call it. So
Bars.
Bars. Preaching. All right. Go ahead, Trey. You're up.
Man, I ain't got too much to say, man. I done said all I can say, man. Listen, brothers, man, this is your time, man. This is your year, man. Do everything that you done heard of on this panel. Just try it out a little bit, 6 weeks or something. That's it. It'll change your lives, fellas.
Thank you. Paul, you're up, man.
For the millennials and the Gen Zers, and I think we got a new one now, right? What's the younger ones, even before the Zers? I think there's a new one. I forget the name for it. But
give me 1 second. I can look it up for you.
But from a Gen Xer, I want the best for you guys. I'm not trying to lord over you. I want the best for you. I understand that this is your world and you have to live in it. At this point in my life, I'm just trying to be a servant. I'm just trying to be an assist based on what I have, what I've acquired over the years, how I've overcome certain things. Maybe you could benefit from it. But the world is yours. And I'm, just trying to be an advisor in it. So I think this division that we have through the generations, I think it needs to end for all of our collective survival. We need to end this generational gap and divide, um, based on circumstances and situations that some things were done to us and some things we've done to ourselves. But we need to break that if we really want to improve our community, improve our relationship. It requires us to stay together. So I'm here to listen, and if I can share anything that will benefit you, then great. I'm cool with that. But I think that's one of the ways we can hopefully restore some respect between the generations, is to start with some humility. We didn't always get it right, but you guys didn't all get it right either. So again, let's drop our weapons, drop our defenses, and let's just talk about what can we do together. How can we help you, and then in turn you can help us, and let's help to restore. As far as for younger people, for kids growing up, yeah, I think a structure, a bit, because I think what was shared earlier is, children need structure. And I think part of that structure is teaching a healthy form of respect and how to honor and how to earn privileges over time. That'll never get lost. You could get all the knowledge that you want, but again, if you lose the concept of time, then I think you're missing something. So, I salute to all the advances, technology. I'm great. I could pick up my phone. Back in the day, I had one of those encyclopedia. It wasn't Britannica. It was another one. I think it was World Book, a new book or something like that. But that was my learning place. Now it's all on my phone. So I appreciate a lot of the modern advances that have allowed us to gain, quicker access to information. But don't ever lose sight of what went into work to build up that knowledge and information, because it could be gone tomorrow. And then the work that it took to build it up, we have to start again. Guys from older people, they could, because they had to take some time to learn and acquire some skills, they could probably get back on their feet a lot quicker than people today who were just, my internet went out, so I can't do anything because I don't have internet. So again, we all need to humble ourselves a little bit. Yeah, I think I would leave it there, but be respectful, give respect, young to the old, old to the young, man to the woman, woman to the man. And I think we'll just be a lot better off, and we can, hit the reset on some of these relationships that have been fractured over the years. That's all I got.
So, I don't have too much to say. Respect, honor. Those are the two major words you're going to hear a lot in your lifetime. I don't care how old you are, how young you are, you're going to hear a lot. Embrace it, learn the definition, and take the knowledge other people are trying to offer you. That's the best I can give you right now. But anyway, schedule update. Sean, you might like this one actually. Coming up. So this week, Saturday, we're back on. Work schedule is getting a little fixed right now. We're talking about Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. I am definitely need to talk to our friend and come on here, and you know who I'm talking about, Paul, already.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I gotta contact him. And obviously we have our gray area on Saturday.
Sunday.
I'm sorry, Sunday. Thank you, Sunday. And next Wednesday, Sean, you're gonna like this. Like I said, we're talking about the impact of rap music. I am going to be speaking to man, what's his man? I have no idea. JT. I'm gonna speak to JT so we may do a collab on that one. So me and him already kind of talked about it a little bit. So I know Sean is definitely jumping in that because that's his backyard, right, Sean? I think he fell asleep again.
Yes. No, I didn't fall asleep. I just had my phone in my pocket. Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm just messing with you, dude. So that's your backyard. So I know you're definitely gonna be here next week. I don't have any questions about that. So, gotta see how my schedule is. So I might have to push it in a week off. I'm not sure yet, or do it early. So, but we'll figure it out when time comes. But except that, that's it for tonight. So, guys, like I always say, stay safe, stay fresh, and I'll see you guys next week.
Have a good day, you guys. Take care.